Hi, friends. It's your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Stranger Things, Season 3, Episode 1. And specifically, the name of that episode is Suzie. Do you copy? All right, and that's Dustin Henderson trying to reach out to his girlfriend in Utah with his radio. That's where the title is coming from. So we pick it up with I'm gonna do a mnemonic: mustard, D&D, Karen, and transmission. All right, so mustard. Hey, Nancy Drew, I know you want to cover a story there, but what about the missing mustard on my sandwich? So this is a joke that is said uh, to Nancy Wheeler at her new job as a journalist at the Hawkins Press. I think it has a different name, but the Hawkins newspaper, right? The Hawkins Journal. I can't remember what and so um and so she is not and so she is so first of all, it's not a joke, it's misogyny. Like, she is definitely being treated worse because she's a woman, okay? But at the same time, she's like saying to Jonathan, hey, I want to break these big stories. And he's like, you are brand new at this newspaper, you don't need to be breaking stories. You need to be covering garage sales and and like the town hall meeting, right? Like, and just taking notes, right? Like, and there's an interesting conversation there. Like, Nancy is definitely being mistreated, but she's also expecting way more than she deserves. She just arrived. She's like, I'm not going to pay any dues. You're going to treat me like a major journo on day one. And you're like, that's not how any job works, right? Like, so, and so there is misogyny happening. And at the same time, Nancy is demanding too much because Jonathan's settling in and he's doing what he's told, right? Whereas Nancy is literally running around covering stories she wasn't assigned, right? Now, the stories she is covering are these exploding rats, this biomass that is growing. And so she actually goes out to this woman who's reporting this giant rat in her basement. And like, you're like, that's not really a story, but Nancy knows. She knows what the upside down is, right? She don't play, right? So very interesting. Then we go back to the core four. And so Dustin is back, and now the core four are together. So it's Mike Wheeler and Will Byers. It's Dustin Henderson and it's Lucas Sinclair. But things have changed, right? So Mike Wheeler is spending all this time with Eleven. Lucas Sinclair has a girlfriend, Max. And then Dustin Henderson has a girlfriend in Utah. And none of them really are thinking about Dungeons and Dragons. And it's actually a meme from season 3 where Will's like, can we just play Dungeons and Dragons? Can we have fun together like we used to? And the group has changed, and how they're spending their time has changed. Then we move over to Karen. All right, so Karen Wheeler. So this is Nancy and Mike Wheeler's mom, and she is considering an affair with Billy Hargrove. And the reason why is, and this is really fascinating too. And one of the things that's really great about Stranger Things is it looks all these conversations we were having in the 80s, right? So in the 80s, people started really looking at marriage, and they're like, well, do you gamble my money away? Is there, domestic abuse? If those things are happening, then I can dump you, right? Nobody argued, right? But in the 80s, the story changed, right? And so let's talk about Mike Wheeler's dad. So Mike Wheeler's dad is, it doesn't do any of that, right? He's a good provider. He cares for his wife. And he cares for his wife. And he's not gambling the money away. He's not drinking. He's not like, there's no domestic abuse. There's no domestic abuse. But he's not exciting, right? He just comes home, he sits in his Barca lounger. You get the idea there's not a lot of date nights happening. And so in the 80s, people were like, well, if I'm not thrilled about this relationship, since, divorce is ubiquitous now, I can just, if I'm just not even thrilled with joy, I can divorce my spouse. And you're looking at Karen and she's like, oh my gosh, just have an affair, right? And you're like, oh, that's not good. That is not good. So she considers it, and we're the only ones who see this, right? And it's really sad because Nancy Wheeler and Mike Wheeler are terrible kids. They do not give two bargles for their mother. It is really bad. Like it's bad. Like they don't care about her. Like she makes their lunch, she cleans their clothes, and they do not care about her in the least way. And she is going through this crisis completely alone, right? And her husband is oblivious, right? And so to her desires, which is really sad, right? Like, and so it is a touching moment, and it is touching that she decides, no, I'm going to stay faithful to my husband. I'm going to remain the stalwart mother of this family, and I'm going to keep this family unit together. And I also love that the Duffer Brothers are having this conversation. They're like, no, like just because you want to be selfish, that's not a good reason to abandon people, right? And so that I thought that was really interesting. It was very good, and I think it was a good way to establish that. All right, last thing, and this is the last thing in the episode. Dustin Henderson goes up to the hill where he has constructed his gigantic radio to talk to Suzie, but he can't get Suzie, right? So he's trying to reach Utah on this essentially a ham radio, and he can't get a hold of Suzie, but he does intercept a secret Russian transmission. He doesn't know it yet, but that is coming out of Starcourt Mall. Thank you for letting me share this with you. That's Stranger Things season 3, episode 1. Suzie, do you copy? And thank you for letting me share my commentary with you. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion, nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking, subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.